everyone, and welcome back to the Beauty Topix podcast. I'm your host, Chantel, and I'm here with an amazing guest. So this person was highly requested. I have multiple clients, and we have a mutual friend. So all my pregnant fans out there and friends, this episode is actually for you and dedicated to you. This is Miss Amy Guthrie.
Thank you for having me.
She is someone that knows a lot about helping babies come into this world and helping mommies through their pregnancy. So Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So a larger scale picture, I guess. I am a mom of two, both born at home. I am a former college athlete. I played basketball like my whole life. I am a wife to a lovely husband who travels quite often for work. Obviously a birth doula, postpartum doula, bibliophile. I'll be reading all the time. I like yoga and...
No wonder you're so fit. That makes sense. You say two kids, but you have this tiny little
Genetics.
perfect figure. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, but being an athlete too, pretty much your whole life, I'm sure that definitely plays
helps.
a part. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Your eyes are stunning. So can you tell us a little bit, what was your first birth experience like at home?
Sure. So I planned for a home birth.
Okay.
I knew just from studying to be a doula and learning a whole lot about hospital births and knowing that wasn't what I wanted, knew very early on that I was going to have a home birth and thought, baby's going to come pretty much around her due date. And she came at 42 and 6. So she just didn't want to come out. She was very comfy.
Well, you made it cozy, so hey, exactly. Why not? Why not stay for a while?
Yep. So the morning that I went into labor, I decided to get a membrane sweep with my midwife.
Okay.
Or that was the day before. And so at 8 a.m. the next morning, contractions started here and there. Went for a walk with my husband. And by 2 p.m., I was in active labor. And called everyone, had my doula come, and it was tough, but not as tough as I expected, I guess. I had done all the research on meditations, and I had one of my best friends make me an awesome playlist.
Nice.
And had, all of the different labor measures ready to go. It just happened to be the day of the Kentucky Derby. So of course my husband had it on TV, and at one point I was like, you need to turn this off.
There's something bigger going on here right now.
Exactly. You are interrupting my vibe.
I'm trying to make you a father. Turn it off.
Exactly. So, baby was in a good position the whole time. I wasn't worried about any kind of dystocia or her getting stuck.
Okay.
I was able to labor in the tub for quite a while, and then that's where she was born, was in the tub.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
came out swimming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And my mom was there too. So that was super special because first grandbaby on both sides. So yeah, my mom couldn't hold it together.
Of course she couldn't. My mom says that's one thing that just completely changes your whole world. They become totally different people. Because I look at my kids and I look at my parents and I'm like, I don't know those two people. I don't know them as grandparents. Exactly. I know them as parents because this is a totally different ball game. They lose their minds.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the best way. They lose their minds in the best way. So you were all prepared for this. I mean, you knew what you wanted. You had your birth plan in place. But when you were doing your research, you were already a doula at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you become a doula yourself?
So I took my training in March of 2019.
Okay.
I knew a few months before that's the path that I wanted to take. And this amazing midwife from Oregon just happened to be hosting a training in Houston. And I was like, that is great timing. I'm going to sign up. So yeah, I hadn't actually attended any births before that, before my first home birth. I took the trainings, did some extra trainings on the side, was working towards my certification, and had some clients lined up and contracted, and then COVID hit.
Oh, there you go.
So all of those turned virtual. So while I was like still attending, quote unquote, I wasn't allowed to actually be there with them because of all the regulations and stuff that were going on. So yeah, that's just kind of how the cookie crumbled at that point.
COVID threw a monkey wrench in everybody's business plan and everybody's plan for their life. But what actually inspired you to follow this path and want to do this?
So I was nannying at the time, and I was loving being a part of these families, helping them raise their children, helping be essentially a third parent. But something felt like it wasn't aligning completely. And I was talking to one of my friends who is more, she's very involved with like spirituality and manifestation, all that kind of stuff. And she was like, have you ever heard of doulas? I was like, I have no idea what that is. Please tell me more. So just kind of looked into it, and it really, what drew me to it was helping parents find their voice and understanding that they have options, and that hospital birth with a yelling mom and all these people around her, that doesn't have to be your story if that's not what you want. So I really saw like the beauty of the uniqueness of every other birth story. Like you can make it what you want it to be. And I just felt like that not a lot of parents understood that or really knew that it was even possible.
Yeah. Because I'm fascinated by it because, you know, I have 3 children. Well, basically I have 2 adults and 1 in high school. And 22 years ago, I just, you know, you just assume you're young. I was 26 years old. You just assume that you just go to the hospital and have your baby, that there's no other option. There's no other way. It never even dawned on me to, you know, like have a home birth. Like that's,
or you have like the image of the screaming mom. Who's
take
like,
it out.
Exactly. And all of this pain and like, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be extremely pleasurable.
Yeah.
And you might not even feel a thing. Just depends on, you know, how you prepare your body, how you prepare your mind.
Wow. What's the difference between a doula and a midwife?
So doulas are non-medical. So I say waist up. So I'm not allowed to give any medical advice. I don't actually catch babies or deliver babies, although I have caught one baby just by accident. And so anything that, you know, any supplements, any kind of medication, like I can give you like minor suggestions based on my experience, but I always redirect to the provider.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have any kind of medical training. It's mental, physical, emotional support.
Okay. So at what point in your pregnancy do you start to search for your doula?
It depends. Some parents wait until the 3rd trimester. Some as soon as they find out they want to start the hiring process. It's just based on comfort level, you know, budget. Or, you know, sometimes it's a longer conversation for couples, or if you're a single mom trying to figure it out, you know, it's just kind of based on whatever works for everyone else's individual lifestyle.
I could definitely see someone maybe deciding to be a single parent wanting a doula. Like that would make sense to me, that you want that support and that additional person there to help, you know, advocate for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that I could see that being extremely, extremely helpful, because when you're going through the process, if you're already feeling like alone or overwhelmed, having somebody else come in to kind of like hold your hand through the process and be there for you and be that support system, I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, even, you know, sometimes if people do have family around, their family might not have the same viewpoint as them, or they might not have the availability. So like in those circumstances, like doulas can go to the appointments with you. Doulas can, you know, step in and be more of that solid support if there isn't like a partner or spouse available. Yes.
I think learning about this whole thing was so new to me, because I knew what a midwife was. Like I understood that perspective of it. And my sister was a labor and delivery nurse for literally over 20 years. That's what she specialized in. So just the whole path of being a doula and what that takes, and how you're really focused on like the mother, but not just the mother, how you're also focused on the other parent in the situation and offer them support too.
Yeah. And some
I
people
think that's amazing. And a lot of people, I don't think that they realize that you're there for the family.
Yeah. Because as much as mom is the focus, like partner, dad, whoever is the other support person, like they have their own concerns. They might have anxiety over things. They might have fears. And who are they going to process these things? Because if they're bringing that into the birth room, like that's going to have an effect on everyone. So they also have me, or, you know, whoever their doula is, their support person, to go over those things without bringing the mom into it if they don't want to stress her out. Right. So like I've had dads talk to me about, you know, if it's a home birth and they're really nervous because it's not a hospital setting, or like it's always, not always, but 90% of the time what they come to me with is the what ifs. What if this? What if that? And, you know, they don't want to talk to the mom about it because then they don't want her thinking that way. So I tell my clients, I'm like, I'm your built-in best friend for both of you. You can tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. If you get mad at me, like I don't take anything personally. Like you can yell at me, you can cry to me, you can scream, you can rage, you can all the things. Like that's what I'm here for. I am just the sounding board so that you get it out and it's out there and you're processing it. Because when you're working as a team to bring baby into the world, like you have to be on the same page. You have to have all of these emotions like evened out so that everybody is in the best space possible. Absolutely.
What types of doulas are there? I researched and I saw that there was 3 different types: labor, antepartum, and postpartum. Is that right?
So there's a lot more than
There's
that.
a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are one of the trainings that I took was like a full circle doula. So that even can include fertility, abortion, grief and loss, what else? I know I'm missing something in there. But like the main ones are labor and postpartum.
Yes.
So you'll see a lot of websites that is like birth and postpartum services. Some doulas only offer birth services. Some only offer postpartum. Some offer both. And then there's the larger scope of the ones that I just mentioned that not everyone has like a full circle training. But you know, if that's what they want to offer, and you know, there's not many restrictions on what a doula can focus on for support. Like as far as I know in Texas, there's no laws on like doulas actually requiring certification. And I don't think a lot of states, if any, have laws on that. So, you know, it's a very broad scope of what people have as their support when they are listing their services for doula.
Gotcha. So when clients reach out to you, is there like a consultation process that they go through with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, for doulas and clients, like I ask my clients, like, don't, even for like doulas that aren't me, don't look at the budget or the price tag if you can, and don't look at their overall aesthetic. Like you need to meet them because they are going to be involved in one of the most vulnerable times of your life.
Yes.
And you need to trust this person with your life, essentially. You need to really trust them through and through and have them be your person. So, you know, budget does matter, but if you're just going through and saying, okay, I'm going to pick the cheapest person and that's who I'm going to hire without having a consult, like you might have a good experience, but you're not going to have like a mind-blowing great experience with this person on your team. So with I always have a 30-minute, maybe more, just depends on how we get to talking.
Yes.
Consultation, because we need to get to know each other. And like, if I'm not a good fit for you, I'm fine with that. Like, I want them to have the best possible person in their corner, and you just have to vibe with them.
Absolutely. I think it's extremely important. You know, I know this is trivial, but even like when I'm meeting a bride to do her hair and makeup, like you want to have that certain rapport. That's like one of the biggest days of her life, you know, is getting married. That's huge. You want to make sure that you gel well with that person. You can provide what they need from you. it's like with this situation, it's, man, you are literally in your most vulnerable position, basically, that you'll ever be in your life as a woman. You know, you're in pain. You need to know that that person that you have chosen has 100% on your team. They have your best interests at heart. You feel comfortable. You feel safe in that space, that they will, you know, speak for you if you can't, you know, speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Because in some cases, your spouse, like with me, my husband, you know, they will be so nervous and worried about you. They may not be able to think straight. If a doctor comes in and asks them a question, they might not know or be able to comfortably answer it. You know, they may be in panic mode. So it's nice to have someone else there who isn't in panic mode, who does this, who's trained for this, to answer those like tough questions and to be able to express, you know, what your needs and what your wants are.
And it's not even just like the hive mind mentality. It's also being able to pick up on body cues and being able to read the room, and just that kind of, it's a fostered relationship. Like, granted, I've supported doulas as backups before and walked into a room where I didn't know those parents, but you like this, just when you hire this doula, like you guys you're working on another relationship, like just like you're working on your marriage, and just like you're going to work on your relationship with your newborn baby.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There just needs to be a comfortability there. I don't think this is something where it's like, oh, this one's $50 cheaper. Like, this is just not the time for that. Like, you can cut corners somewhere else. I'm like, we'll clip coupons for the groceries. This is not where I want to cut the corner, is when I'm in labor. That's not where I want to cut the corner. Typically, in most cases, when do you step into the picture, though? Like, do you step in a lot of times first trimester, second, or is just kind of varies all the time?
Yeah, it varies all the time. I'd say that what's been trending lately is like second trimester.
Okay.
Because, you know, some parents are nervous for the first trimester, just in case anything happens. They want to wait till the 12, 13 week mark. And they don't want to wait all the way to the third trimester. So usually like the sweet spot is second trimester somewhere. Okay.
And then at what point do you start helping them cultivate a birth plan?
So that also kind of depends.
Okay.
Some parents I have they come to me and they're like, oh, I already have my birth plan all set. And then we just go over the details and, you know, tweak it here and there if it needs to be tweaked. Like, I have a template that I send to my clients pretty much as soon as they sign, just so they can start looking at it and they know what their options are, what they can ask for, what they can say no to, all that kind of stuff. And like, we go over that in their first prenatal appointment, is all of their options. If they're having a home birth, like, these are your options for home birth, birth center too. Like, we go over all that stuff that they would want to include in a birth plan, and then just kind of work it from there. But we want to have it, like, I would say, like, complete by like 34, 35 weeks.
Okay. It needs to be finalized by then.
Just in case.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, 36 weeks is the okay point for baby to be, you know, born without as many complications.
Right.
So usually by 36 weeks, we want to have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted, you know, ready to go.
Yes. That makes total sense to me. So do you partner with like midwives or for like home births and things like that?
So I don't partner per se. Like, I'll happily refer to midwives who I personally know, or like my midwife who I use for both of my births. Some midwives partner with doulas who are working towards their midwifery license.
Oh, okay.
So they're like student midwives or they're birth assistants. Oh, okay. I personally am not a birth assistant right now. So I don't like have a midwife that I work under.
Gotcha.
But there are some in the area that work that way.
Okay. So when a client does finally, like, you know, go into labor and they want you to come, okay, it's time. What kind of support do you offer them throughout the process? Do you just like go through breathing exercises, help them manage pain? Like, what do you do to help them?
Yeah, usually those are the first ones. You know, if it's early labor, I am usually virtually talking to them. I'll meet them at home if they're going to the hospital. if that's what they want. Sometimes they just want me to meet them at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But I always ask, them to be open. Like if they're really having a hard time and they want me there sooner, then I will gladly go. Like that's what I'm here for. But yeah, we like in their prenatal appointments, we talk about like their yes and no list of what they want said to them and what they don't want said to them. If they want to be touched, if they don't want to be touched, what kind of music they want, like the ambiance kind of stuff.
Okay.
But usually the big ones are like what they want their partner to say to them and what they don't. Like I've had dads think that like these words were going to be super helpful and motivational, and the wife was like, absolutely not, do not freaking say that to me when I'm in labor. And it's hilarious because like, hey, well, you guys are clearly not on the same page, so we need to do that now.
Right, exactly, because when the pain hits, you're a little less tolerable of like chitter chatter going on around.
Like if you're not used to him stroking your face, like I'm pretty sure you're not going to want him stroking your face.
That's not the time when you're sweating and you're hot and that's not it.
Right.
That's not it. I get you.
Yeah.
I got you.
We talk about those. We do like the labor management, the pain management techniques. It's a lot of, if it's early labor, it's a lot of walking if they want to walk, resting, making sure she's staying hydrated and she's eating, and playing around with the music, keeping things light. And once it's active labor, I kind of shut my mouth and I just kind of read the room and let her do her thing. Like one of my big things is like, I'm not going to intervene unless I really see that you're having a hard time.
Okay.
Because in active labor, like I just want the moms to be focused. And like if they're going in that birth portal and like they're going into deep dark places, like I'm not going to snap them out of it, because then that's going to throw everything off and labor might stall and that kind of stuff. So it's always, I find it the best to just let her do her thing, and like I'll pop in every once in a while and like kind of be like, okay, maybe we'll switch positions, like maybe we'll do a little bit of walking. But usually like if she's in a position, she's like making those animal noises, like I'm like, babe, you go for it. You are in the zone, like we're just gonna let you ride right now.
Okay Gotcha. So what are some, I'm so curious, like, what are some advantages, in your opinion, since you had a home birth? Well, you had 2 home births.
Yeah.
So what did you feel the advantages were of you choosing that over going to a hospital?
So I just really liked being able, like, I'm not a super homebody, but I like my stuff. Like I wanted to be cozy. I wanted to be able to like lay in bed if I wanted to lay in bed and change my clothes easily and not have people asking me a million questions. And, hospital lights can be harsh. You're hearing everything in the hallway. Growing up, I also didn't have a great experience in hospitals because my mom was in the hospital a lot when I was little. So I think that kind of played into it.
It's kind of triggering.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, even for hospital births, like we can make it cozy. One of the births that I went to recently, like we had all the lights off. We had like twinkle lights and like a diffuser, and she had her like relaxing playlist and some comfy pillows, and like it was gorgeous. And the staff was like very respectful about not coming in too much. So while home birth, yes, it's really amazing because you're literally at home and you're in your comfort space and your comfort zone. Like you have all your stuff there. We can still, manage to, make things pretty and nice in the hospital. But yeah, my reasonings, like I just wanted to be uninterrupted, be able to get in and out of the tub. And you
felt more at peace at home. Yeah. To kind of make that transition, easier. I could see that because I get that in the hospital, it can feel very chaotic. It seemed like there was constantly somebody coming in the room to poke me, to put a monitor on me, to change something, to unstick something, to drop something off. And then it's like, oh, we have students out here. We're going to bring them in. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm sorry. I'm not. I understand that they have to learn. And I do. And I respect that they have to learn. But it just at that point in time, it's like, I really don't want a bunch of people poking around.
Right.
My vagina. Yeah. Like if you could just stay out of the room, you know what I mean? It was just, it did feel chaotic. you know, the second time, you know, I gave birth. The third time was pretty calm. I mean, the third one, it pops right out.
Yeah.
Very easy. So, you know, but, and when it's your first birth, you know, you feel so vulnerable because you're so nervous about what's going to happen. And, you know, am I going to be able to push? Am I going to be able to do what I want? Is this going to end in a C-section? All these things are running through your mind. So I love the fact that you made it so comfortable for her, even inside the hospital with the diffuser and all those things to keep her calm, because I think that would have really, if I would have known something like that, that's absolutely something I would have opted for, to at least make that room as cozy as possible so I could feel comfortable and dim the lights and not have a million people coming in every second.
Yeah.
Do you want ice chips? Do you want this? No, I don't want anything. I just want peace because I'm nervous enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
so I love that you guys could create that kind of like safe, warm space. Yeah.
Yeah. And with hospitals, like it's so dependent on the staff that you get too. Like I love nurses. I would not want their job. Like
my sister's incredible and I couldn't do what she does.
Like whoever is a nurse, like I have friends that are nurses, like power to you. Like but you know, sometimes somebody's having a bad day or somebody had a bad experience, and you know, it's just the luck of the draw with who you get when you are at the hospital as far as staff goes. Right. But also as first time moms, like maybe not all of us have been naked in front of a bunch of people before. And you might poop. And who like
right, exactly. You push. What happens when you push? There you go. It is what it is.
So it's like,
do you really want 16 people around you?
Right, exactly. So it's like all those things too to consider. That's like modesty is still there. Like, I mean,
you still want your privacy, but you feel so exposed because at this point now 10 different people have come in and lifted up your gown and let me check. And or like one of the things that happened, it's like, you know, you go into labor, you go to the hospital, it's like, oh, your doctor's not the one on call tonight. It's such and such that you don't know, you've never laid eyes on, and this person wants to come in and put a glove on and touch your private parts, and it's like, oh no. Yeah. Can we please just call my doctor because I'm not comfortable with this? You know what I mean? Things like that. So wow. I really admire you for doing your research, just even for yourself, and continuing to, you know, having your first and second baby, you know, at home in your safe space. I just think I think that's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I think
I highly recommend
incredible.
It to everyone. And I have, like, even my sister, she's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to go through labor without the meds. I'm like, oh, but you can.
I did.
You can. Yeah. Like, your mind is a powerful, powerful thing. Like, this is what our bodies were built to do. But yeah, like, I just can't talk about it enough with my friends and like, you know, stuff like this. It's just awesome.
Do you feel like, because for me, for sure with my son, because there was no pain medication, there was nothing. I just straight went in and, you know, pushed him out. Do you feel like breathing exercises are really helpful? Like, do you recommend like Lamaze breathing to your clients, or do you work on breathing exercises with them? Because that's something I really felt helped me with my like pain management. It was just like breathing through it.
Yeah. So I think there's not like one solution for everyone. I think that there are so many different resources and so many different approaches now. Like breathing is great. The hypnobirthing is great.
What is that?
So it's like different meditations. Okay. And it's not like the Bradley and the Lamaze breathing. It's more of like mind over matter meditations type of thing. I mean, I have friends who have used different, like still meditations, but not hypnobirthing. You know, really going into their center and releasing the pain that way. Doing like body scan, energetic work. So it's kind of all over the place. It's, you know, if you're trying to do these breathing exercises and it's really not working for you, we'll find you a different option. Okay. But yeah, I'm glad the breathing worked for you though. That's awesome.
It did. So what are your thoughts on like prenatal massages and things like that?
I think they're great.
Okay.
I over massage though, I would recommend chiropractic care. Like
Okay.
chiropractic care during pregnancy is huge. Because if your hips are misaligned, if your sacrum's out of place, like baby is not going to be in optimal position to come out.
Okay.
So any chiropractor that is Webster certified, like it's called the Webster technique for prenatal. I started going to my chiropractor, I think at 18 weeks, 20 weeks, something like that, through a few days before my babies were born. Just making sure everything inside was aligned. Same with pelvic floor therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, both huge. So prenatal massage is great. Makes you more comfortable, can help with round ligament pain, especially just make you more relaxed. But if you're like choosing between what to pay for, if insurance doesn't happen to cover massage or chiropractic care or pelvic floor therapy, I would go with the chiropractic care and the pelvic floor therapy and then massage in that order.
Gotcha. What does the pelvic floor therapy entail?
So there's either both exterior and interior therapy. So it's a lot of, it's not just Kegels. It's practicing your breathing to bring up your pelvic floor and tighten and strengthen and then release.
Okay.
Because if your pelvic floor is too tight during labor, you're going to have a hard time pushing baby out. And then you'll have a harder time with recovery afterwards. So even if you've never given birth before or you've only had C-sections, like you should really still see a pelvic floor therapist just to, kind of assess your health. It helps with going to the bathroom. It helps with sex. It helps with your core. It's just, really important for women.
Wow. Do you discuss like diet or nutrition and exercise with your clients at all?
Yeah. Yep. Some clients, especially, if they have any issues with their thyroid or if they have just gestational diabetes or anemia, any of that stuff, like we can address those and tweak diet to support any of those that might come up. I personally had thyroid issues at the end of my first pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
And anemia in both of them. So I was working with my midwife and then a functional doctor to just focus on different minerals to get into my diet to help me feel better, because it was really taking a toll at the end. I felt like crap.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's very draining. Like they're sucking everything that they need from you. And you have to remember to make sure, to put more in to make sure you've got enough for yourself. Yeah.
And I also encourage moms to, I think a lot of moms understand you're not eating for two.
Right.
But there's this fear around gaining too much weight in pregnancy. So they're not eating enough. So a lot of moms that I work with, that's something that I bring up. I'm like, how much protein are you eating a day? How many calories in general are you eating a day? Because the more that you're eating during pregnancy, like healthy foods, not just junk,
Right.
the better your healing will be in postpartum, and the better, if you're planning to breastfeed, like the better your milk supply will be. So it's like what you're doing for your body in pregnancy will translate into postpartum. Which some moms don't understand that. They think, just as soon as baby comes out, things are going to go back to normal. They're going to be a little tired, but they don't really understand the full scope of the healing process once baby is out and, you're in early postpartum.
Yes. Gotcha. So what, like you say, like the nutrition in regards to like the breast milk and stuff, are there certain things you can do? Because I've had some friends who say, oh, I really have to supplement a lot because I'm not making, much breast milk. Can that be tied to nutrition, that you feel like you're not making enough to support? It
can be, yeah. So because the hormone shifts during pregnancy are just so crazy.
Yeah.
Like the shift once baby is born is the biggest hormone shift any living being experiences.
Absolutely.
So if you're not eating enough and you're not drinking enough water and your stress levels are too high, it's going to affect your milk supply, because your milk supply is based on your hormones.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there's other underlying issues, whether it's, glandular issues or, just, don't know all the medical terms exactly,
Right,
but
right.
you know, if a mom is having trouble in the early days, you know, the first 2 weeks and having trouble with baby latching, or, you know, just doesn't feel like there's a lot of milk coming out, I always refer them to a lactation consultant. Because sometimes it could be something with baby's mouth, like they might have oral ties, or they might, you know, just have something else that's tight that needs to be released by a chiropractor, or they need to go to like a pediatric dentist type of thing. So I always start with the diet, just because it's it's something more easily controlled by the mom. And if that's not helping, and, you know, there's always some herbs we can experiment with that are milk boosting and also like helpful with healing. But after that, it's kind of have to outsource a little bit.
Gotcha.
And see what else might be going on.
Okay. That makes sense. Have you ever been a part of like a birthing process where there were multiple babies?
I haven't. I really want to,
okay.
though.
I was so curious.
No, so one of my best friends had twins, but they're in Dallas. So she had a C-section. And yeah, I really wish I would have a client that had multiples. I'm holding out for the day.
Maybe soon. What is it like? Have you been involved with postpartum care, assisting someone like in the healing process, like after a C-section?
Yeah. So I actually focused on postpartum support for a few years.
Okay.
At the kind of beginning of my doula career, I guess you can say. And, you know, C-section is a different animal than vaginal birth as far as like the healing goes. Like while you have to deal with the incision and restrictions on lifting and moving, you have to remember all of that while you're still learning to take care of a newborn and, you know, get used to this new life. And then you also have like still the wound from your placenta on the inside of your body that you know, everyone has after birth. So it's just like an extra layer of healing for them. And, you know, especially if it wasn't a planned C-section, and there's like the trauma afterwards that has to be processed and addressed and thought about. I have a lot of great resources for C-section mamas. You know, I have a friend who actually lives in Katy who focuses solely on C-section recovery support for moms. And she's a wonderful resource. And, you know, I just try to learn as much as I can, because I personally have not had a C-section. So it's one thing to, you know, support moms as much as I can, and one thing to actually like, you know what they're going through physically.
Right. To be able to 100% relate to their perspective on
exactly.
it. Yeah, for sure. I could see that, because me being, you know, I had 3 just normal vaginal deliveries, but my sister ended up having to have an emergency C-section. So yes, you do have to deal with that, because you go in with the mindset, you're already like trying to hype yourself up to push. Like, I'm going to push, I'm going to do this, I got this, and you're breathing. And then realize I'm going to get wheeled down the hall and go into surgery. It definitely shifts your mindset.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're trying to not go into panic mode, but you kind of can't help it. And then dealing with the after effects. It's like, okay, now I have this scar, and, you know, like you said, all the things that come with that, I could absolutely see. I feel like if I would have had to go through the process of a C-section, I feel like I definitely would have wanted someone for aftercare, you know, to like come and check on me or be in the home. Like, how hands-on, you know, is a postpartum doula with a C-section?
So it just depends on what the mom wants and what the mom needs.
Okay.
So I've had moms where they just stay in bed with baby the whole time I'm there, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm throwing in a load of laundry, I'm tidying up, I'm walking the dog, you know, just kind of doing all the things that require like the extra movement and the extra attention, so that she can just relax, be with baby. Sometimes I take baby and they nap. They go shower, they, you know, get 5 minutes to themselves to, you know, regroup. And some moms are just like, can you like throw something on the meal and then let's just chat. So it's kind of all over the place as far as like what mom wants and needs in that moment.
I love this, because I think for a lot of people, not me. I was good. I was blessed. I'm like, don't come for me. I'm talking to my mom, my mother-in-law. But I think when you first come home with baby, it's nice to have someone like you that provides that in-home support who is a third party. Because I feel like sometimes parents, grandparents don't understand boundaries and they kind of take over and don't give you the opportunity to bond with your child. Oh, you had a C-section. Let me take the baby. And then you don't see your child for you don't know how long. You know what I mean? So it's nice to say, okay, look, we're trying to realize our new routine as a family right now. So, you know, we have someone here that's helping us. So we appreciate your love and support, but we need to set this boundary. Look, in a week or two, you're welcome to come see baby. Yep. So it's so nice to be able to have that third party step in to kind of help put that boundary in place.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's something that I really focus on with my clients is setting those boundaries and really thinking about, like, what do I want my postpartum to look like? Not what everyone else wants my postpartum to look like. Not what is going to make them happy. What's going to make me happy? What's going to make my partner happy? What is going to make our nuclear family work for these early days? Like, I tell them, if you want a cocoon, you want a nest, you don't want anybody to visit, you can say no. Nobody has to visit. If you want them to come over, but you want them on a strict deadline of like leaving your home, you can tell them that. So I actually have like a list of like script for them to use with their family. And then I have like a visitor to-do list. And I tell them, like, hey, here's the text you're going to send. You're going to tell them it's okay to come between these hours. You let me know what works for you. And I'll expect you at this time. When you walk in the door, you take off your shoes, you wash your hands. And pick one of these 5 things to do when you arrive. Don't ask to hold baby. I'll give baby to you if I want to.
I love this. I'm so here for this. Ooh, I'm here for this. So yes,
it's like,
Amy.
It's all about like reclaiming their power in postpartum. Like, you just freaking ran a marathon and pushed out a baby. Like, nobody needs to effing tell you what to do.
That's right.
You tell people what you need and you tell them what's okay.
I say this all the time. Thor has nothing on us. I'm like, you claim to be a superhero with a hammer, push out a baby. Push out a baby and then get up and walk around the next day while you're breastfeeding and still doing all these things. Superhero. And I'm like, after a C-section, are you kidding me? Like, I saw my sister. That's not a joke.
Right.
That is serious. And I feel like people should respect the boundaries. And I love that you have all those things in place to kind of coach them through that process, because it can be hard to deal with like an overbearing parent that doesn't understand. They're like, well, I just want to hold it. I just want to. And it's like, no, give them that time to bond as a family.
Exactly. And they need to bond.
They have to.
They need to bond. And like, also as a woman, like, I know some of us are super comfortable having people over with whatever we look like, but some moms, like, they haven't showered in 4 days. They haven't washed their hair. They're covered in baby pee and spit up and breast milk and God knows what else. Like, they don't want to entertain you. So like, no.
Yes, exactly. This is not the time. No, she's not making hors d'oeuvres.
Right.
That's not what this is for.
Right. Like, if you want to bring by food and drop it at the doorstep, wonderful.
Great.
If you want to send me a text with a DoorDash gift card and like a loving note,
let's do
wonderful.
That.
If you want to bring, like, ask me what my coffee order is and bring coffee for the whole family and leave it at the door, I will take it every morning. But like, you're not allowed in the house.
Right. And if you are, I'm with you. Like, here's a list. Like,
and
you're welcome to come by on Monday. Can you help with laundry while I take care of this situation?
And you're
that would
here
be
for an
wonderful.
hour, and that's it. Like, no overstaying. You're welcome.
Right. And I was very blessed in that I could call my mother-in-law in Sugar Land and be like, look, I'm tired. And she'd be like, okay, honey, I'm coming. What do you want me to bring you? And I could say anything. I want a carrot cake and ribs. And this woman, bless her, would do all the things. Like, I
sounds like an angel.
So spoiled. I love her. I was so spoiled. And even my own mom, I'll pick up the phone and call and say, because my parents don't live in Texas. Be like, look, you know, this is what I need. Okay. What do you need? And they would come with cases of diapers and formula and whatever I needed and bring it and load it up in the garage. So I was very, very blessed. But, you know, I have definitely have some really close friends who were just like, I had to throw my mother-in-law out the house, you know, and I'm like, oh, honey, it's okay. And she's just feeling awful. But I'm like, she took your child for 2 days. That's kidnapping. Like, it's okay for you to say, give me my baby back and go home.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel like you shouldn't have to deal with that at that point because and I understand that they're trying to help, but you're really you're being more of a hindrance than a help.
Right.
Don't separate mama and baby thinking, oh no, you had a C-section. You don't need to hold him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she does still need to hold him. She needs to breastfeed him. And, you know, do you have any tips on just like breastfeeding, like pumping, like using a breast pump? I know that sounds so like, but there's so many different ones out there. It can be so confusing. And it's just one of those things where I feel like sometimes the fear takes over and we just jump straight to formula.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You have any tips?
I mean, so there's always like a pumping schedule that you can go on, like especially if baby goes into the NICU and you're trying to get your milk supply up. Like I always say, latch baby first.
Okay.
Like the more exposure that you have to baby's mouth, because baby's mouth sends a message to your breast, to your brain to say, okay, baby's moving on the breast. Baby needs milk. Okay. Let's produce. So it's that cycle. So if you're not getting the exposure and like the baby's saliva like makes it more pronounced as far as your hormonal reaction.
Okay.
So if you don't have baby with you all the time, or if baby just happens to be a great sleeper and you don't want to wake baby up, you know, I say pump every 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
If you're not, and like if you still are, so it's like baby latch, get baby on. If baby's not doing anything, baby falls asleep, pump. So do that every 2 to 3 hours and try to stay on that until you see an increase. As far as like brands of pump, like I love Spectra. I have a Unimom that I'm in love with. And you can always work with the lactation consultants. Usually have like a supplier that they go through to order for their offices. And sometimes they have better discounts than what your insurance is offering you. Okay. Like if you're a mom and you don't know that insurance covers a breast pump, they do. Whatever your insurance company is, you go to their website or you reach out to their customer care and they have ones that are covered. So it's usually like a Medela, a Spectra. I know one of the LV like portable ones is like covered part of the way, but it just depends on
That's good to know because a lot of us don't realize it's like we try to not call the insurance company because it just seems like it's more of a hassle than anything, you know?
You're
paying
like,
for
you
it. Get what you
exactly.
Yeah, get your money's worth.
Yep, exactly. You get what's included.
Absolutely.
And my company didn't do this, but I've had friends, insurance companies who like sent them the replacement parts like on a schedule. They didn't have to order them. Because, you know, some parts you have to replace every month, every 3 months, depending on how often you use the pump. And yeah, I've had friends like, oh yeah, just showed up on my doorstep. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Go insurance company. Like, that's one good thing you did.
Man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so latch first. That's the number one tip.
Yeah.
And then just try to pump every 2 to 3 hours just to kind of keep that cycle going to build up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And if you're having trouble, always reach out to a lactation consultant. And I know in the Houston area, Bayou City Breastfeeding is like my go-to. They have multiple offices, but you know, there are other smaller, independent lactation consultants, especially in Katy, there's a bunch. So I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but there's quite a few all over Houston that people can reach out to. You know, it kind of depends on the city that you're in, but you know, a quick Google search and you should be able to find somebody.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. I wanted to talk, just touch on real quick, just in regards to like postpartum, because I know you're trained to pick up on cues and body language and certain verbiage. If you kind of feel like a mom is like struggling or possibly maybe going to a bit of like postpartum depression, do you have a conversation with them or try to refer them to someone? How do you handle that if you pick up on those cues?
Yeah, so I try to talk to, like if they have a partner or husband, I try to talk to them and see what they're seeing. Some of them are really great about noticing things. Some of them aren't. But I try to get the other perspective, because some moms will be like, oh, I'm just a little sad, but like, I'll be okay. And, you know, sometimes it is just a case of the baby blues. Other times, you know, it is something more serious. And, you know, when it is something more like depression or postpartum anxiety, it's usually, I ask them the broader questions, like, how much sleep are you getting? Are you getting 7 hours in 24? Are you eating? Are you having intrusive thoughts? And at that point, I just try my best to remain as professional without getting totally emotionally invested, because, you know, at that point, like, your clients are your friends in some respect. But, you know, you have to also kind of be extremely truthful with them. Be like, these are the things that I'm observing. And from my professional opinion, it's falling under this category. What they want to do with that information is up to them. I can't force them to go see someone or to talk to someone. So I usually encourage whoever else is supporting them to have a bigger conversation. Like, I've had dads say, yeah, we're getting her help.
Okay, perfect. That's what,
because they knew
they can see
that
it
was
they
something
see the
more
signs.
Serious.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
And that's also like a conversation that we have in prenatal appointments, so that they're aware of it. But, you know, some moms don't want to admit it because, you know, mental health care is not exactly a well talked about subject for some people. Yeah,
I had an amazing guest, Lauren Doherty. She is just a mental health specialist, and we kind of talked about it, the stigma of it and things like that. And I'm just really ready for people to let that go, get the help that you need, and just live a better life. Just get the help. You know, if someone is judging you, that's their issue. Their judgment is their issue. Maybe they have something that they need to talk about. And I mean, maybe they're a little bit envious of you for being able to speak about it and go see someone, you know? But I really wish we could just completely remove the stigma from that, especially for moms that are just really just going through it. I mean, your body has gone from 0 to 100 and back to 0 and then to 50. You've yo-yoed all over the place. You're entitled to speak to someone about that and the changes in your family dynamic and who you are. Now you're like almost a whole different person. You just, you know, overnight you became a whole new woman. You became a mother. You pushed out a life. You know, it's huge. It's I'm just like, talk to someone if you need to.
And it's okay to feel those feelings.
Yes.
Like, it's not a case of, oh no, like you're being over dramatic or this, that, or the other thing. Like, you need to feel these things in order to move through them. And if talking to someone about it is how you're going to process it, then that's what you need to do. Like, our minds need support just like our bodies need support.
Yes, absolutely. Do a lot of your clients, are they first time moms or the majority?
Yeah, I would say
I kind of figured
like 70%. Actually, 2 of the clients that I have right now are second time moms. One is she's going for a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. And the other one, she's had a really terrible experience with her first, and they wanted to hire a doula so that it didn't happen again. And they had somebody else who in the room who could, you know, talk to the staff and make sure that her wants were being addressed.
That her birth plan was at least being followed as closely as possible. When you have a traumatic birth experience, it definitely makes you think long and hard about, if going forward, if you decide to have another child, what you will and won't put up with for sure. Absolutely. I was just curious because when you're back home, like baby's home, mom's home, you know, do you help with the interaction between, you know, the first child and the baby? Do you help them with that process?
Yeah. So that's actually, some people are actually sibling doulas, which is one I forgot to mention before. So they'll you know, really work with the siblings ahead of time, as well as mom. And sometimes, like during the birth, they'll just be in charge of the siblings. It's really cute, like seeing how the different ages react to babies. And also, like, sometimes I just think it's the cutest when it's like, I had a client that was like an 8-year-old son, and like he was just obsessed with the baby. And it's not exactly something that you think.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people are automatically like, oh, the girls are going to love the babies, but like the little boys love them just as
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. They're a big brother. Yes, they
But
love
yeah,
it.
like, of course, you know, I try to, you know, support the whole family, and that includes the kids that are already there. Because it's as jarring for them as it is for mom and dad. So, you know, just, you know, playing different games, teaching them things to learn about the baby, like baby's cues, what things might mean, you know, how to change a diaper if they're really interested, you know, different ways that they can help mom, what they can go reach for her if they're, you know, of appropriate age. So there's a whole lot of ways to just have fun with it and make them really feel like they are playing an important part.
Yes. I love that, because I remember when I had my son, my oldest daughter, she was so obsessed with him. She was trying to teach him things. She's like, she would have him, he'd be in the stroller, we're going to play school. And she's holding up flashcards and, you know, she's like, I'm the teacher. And she just was so in love with him and their little bond. Like, he would talk gibberish baby talk, and I swear she understood. And she's like, he wants this or he wants that. And he would look for her like she was his. I just say, like, he imprinted on her. Like, she was his person more so than me, you know? And I just think that's so sweet, just to kind of I could see having someone there to help with that transition, you know, especially when, you know, it may be only, you know, the other child may be only 2 or 3 years old. And so now they have to come to grips with, they're not like the baby anymore. And mom and dad are with this other baby. Having someone intervene and like really help with that process. I could see that being very beneficial.
Yeah. And also helping prepare the parents for how to, you know, split time so that mom isn't just always with baby.
Right.
Mom has time with the older kid to do bedtime or to read or to, you know, have 20 minutes, just the two of them. So, you know, there's no, I don't want to say bad feelings, but like sometimes the older kids can feel a little neglected in a way because mom has the new baby and mom's only taking care of the new baby. So it's a very fine line to toe. And so like we talk with parents about, you know, different ways to handle that. What's going to work for the family dynamic.
Being a family with multiple children now.
And just being aware of that being something to think about once baby is there with them.
And just understanding that the other child's feelings, they are valid. They are allowed to feel if they feel a little slighted or if they feel like a little alone or if they're not getting as much attention. They're allowed to feel that way. Yeah. They're just going by what they're experiencing and what they're seeing. A lot of times they're young, you know, so it's like allow them to feel that and help them work through it and make them really be a part of it as much as possible. So they don't feel like they're watching their family and they're not in that unit. Yeah. You know, I think that's so important. I love that there are sibling doulas. Like there's a title for that. I've got to research more. Like this is amazing to me that there's just so many different types. Cause just like 3 just really like stood out to me. I had no idea that there was just so many, you know, layers to this. Yeah. There's so many layers.
Yeah. Basically anything with pregnancy and postpartum, like you can have a doula for it basically.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So are there certain things that you see you wanting to add to, you know, the services you are or your repertoire, for example, like other things that you want to be trained for that you want to incorporate?
Yeah, I've been exploring different things. So I added a meal delivery service. What was it? I guess it was after my oldest was born. So just over 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
And I just wanted something that was a little more flexible than being in the home for postpartum care. Because, you know, leaving my kids and going to take care of somebody else, it's great. But at the same time, I was getting really burned out, kind of trying to juggle everything. So it's just my way of still being able to cook because I love to cook and making sure that moms are getting nourished. So it's, you know, an easy way for me to support them that way. And then,
wow, that's amazing. Because that is so helpful. Yeah, I mean, so like, just when I have pregnant friends, it's like I'm the first one to be like, girl, let me drop you off 2 casseroles and a pie. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I get it. It takes, sometimes it's just a lot of energy. Or if mom is still like, she's pregnant and she's still like working her full-time job and like going through all of that. It's so much. Yeah. It's and then, so draining.
Some parents, like, they don't know what they want to cook.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what they want to prep for freezer meals.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this way it's,
It's done
sign
for
up,
them.
you go pick from the menu and it's done for you, and it shows up at your doorstep.
Brilliant. You know what I love too about, you and your business and what you do is that, for one, it's coming from a good place. Like, I know you have this big heart, and I know you're a mom and you went through these home births, but you really seem to be able to put yourself in their shoes. Like, and you understand their perspective. You understand, a woman's position, and also being a wife, you understand that dad needs to be taken care of as well. He's nervous. He's anxious. He may clam up because he don't want to share it. He doesn't want to feel vulnerable in front of, his spouse. So you can step in and be that sounding board. And then as a mom of multiples, you can come at it from that perspective as well, to say, okay, both children need to feel loved and cared for and a part of this unit. Like, we're all on the same team. We're all one team here, So I love that you literally can touch it from every single angle. Like, everything about you and your life, like, leads into your business.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just like blown away. I'm so impressed. Like, I knew that I was going to love you. And just because I was told, she was like, no, she's amazing. She's amazing. Like, so I knew that already going into it, but I'm just so excited that we could share this time today. It means the world to me. You have no idea. I mean, even though I'm not of childbearing age anymore. I can't have any more children, but I can definitely support my friends who, are pregnant, and I've just learned new ways that I can support them, and advice that, could help them. And there's other options for you out there besides just, going and laying in a hospital bed. You have so much more to choose from now.
Yeah.
And
I feel
it's
like
okay to make those choices for yourself.
A lot of moms, but like parents and families in general, like, they feel like they give away some of their power during this, because there's confusion, there's anxiety, there's nervousness, there's all these what ifs. And I just try to focus on, making them feel empowered again, and making them feel like, this is not a scary process. Like, I have this, like, this is just going to be the most wonderful experience, because I know what I'm doing. I know what I want. And these are my boundaries, and I'm sticking by them. And I'm not listening to any of the outside noise. I'm going with my gut, and I'm doing what's best for myself, my baby, and my family. And we're just going to love it.
That's it right there. That's it. That's a whole bar. The end. I mean, Amy, can you let them know how they can book a consultation with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Empower Intuition Doula, or my website, www.empowerintuitiondoula.com. And yeah, I'm always here for questions. I love chatting all things birth, obviously.
Yes.
All things mommyhood. So yeah, reach out.
Well, thank you so much again for being here. I greatly appreciate it. It was lovely having you on my couch.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And there will be more questions, I'm sure. So I'm probably going to have you back. I'm thinking maybe even have one of my little pregger friends, step in here and kind of, so you can even have an even deeper conversation about this too, because I just think it's so important. We're just never going to stop having babies. So
exactly,
there's always going to be new things and new techniques to come up, and it's just having someone like you in their corner to walk them through the process. I think is an incredible resource.
Those mothers.
That's right. So that's it for us, you guys, for this episode of the Beauty Topics podcast. Please check it out wherever you get your podcasts, and we thank you for listening. Take care.